Welcome back to another episode of the Inquisitive Mamba podcast. This is episode 186. I hope everyone is having a great day, great night, wherever you are around the world. So much to get into on today's show. But before we officially start, make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. I can't thank you guys enough for the continuous support. The clips have done exceptionally well this past week on social media, intertwining with some sports entertainment and some pop culture. We just had the NFL draft last week as well, which we'll hit into that as well for the episode today. So I'm gonna get right into it for you guys. The introduction I'm going to start off with for you guys is the NFL draft. Of course, we had that this past Thursday. As I just mentioned, we have the NHL playoffs. Round one should be wrapping up here in the next couple days. The NBA playoffs have been getting spicy. The Lakers are up 3-1 against the Rockets. I don't think anybody expected that, considering myself here as well, to not expect that. Timberwolves were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets yesterday, but the Anthony Edwards, of course, got hurt this past weekend. So now the Timberwolves and the Nuggets are in a 3-2 series, going to be a battle there. And then you have the Suns who just got swept by the Thunder. The Thunder, as everyone expected. And then you go to the East and you have the Magic and the Pistons, of course, and the Pistons are down 3-1. Celtics and the 76ers in a 3-1 series there as well. Celtics should be wrapping up that series tonight. Hawks and the Knicks are in a bloodbath there in a 2-2 series. So then we have the Michael Jackson movie that just came out. We'll get into that as well later on in the show. Devil Wears Prada 2 for my entertainment people out there and movie people that watch the show for movie stuff. We'll get into that. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was the NFL draft. Well, of course, Fernando Mendoza went number 1 overall, which was expected. It wasn't a secret that he was going to go number 1 overall. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But then you move to the Jets with David Bailey. I saw a lot of mocks with him linked there. I'm very interested to see how he'll do in Aaron Glenn's system. He was, an absolute animal at Texas Tech. And then you move to the Arizona Cardinals with Jeremiyah Love. And now a lot of people were like, why did the Cardinals draft Jeremiyah Love? They have Tyler Algier. They've got Trey Benson. James Conner, I'm pretty sure, is still on their roster, if I did my homework correctly. And Jeremiyah Love is going to be the first running back in NFL history to get over $50 million guaranteed as a rookie and get more money guaranteed than most other running backs ever have. So that's a question there as well. You're like, Jeremiyah Love? Well, there really wasn't any sure quarterback out there. You probably should have gone defense, but of course, with the new hiring of Mike LaFleur, it made sense for them in that aspect. Of course, they drafted Carson Beck in the 3rd round from Miami, the most veteran presence type quarterback out of this entire quarterback class, which it wasn't a deep class. So I'm not going to sit here and spend a ton of time talking about the whole Jeremiyah Love stuff. Do I like the pick? Do I love the pick? I don't love it. I don't like it. I think I'm more of just like, okay, I know, running back is a very valuable position in the NFL, but I think they could have drafted somebody else and as a defensive perspective per se, but that's not what Mike LaFleur and the Arizona Cardinals wanted to go with. They just obviously got rid of Kyler Murray. You drafted Carson Beck in the 3rd round. You have Jacoby Brissett starting as your quarterback still. The Cardinals really aren't going anywhere. I think they're planning for the future more than anything for next year. We'll see, how they do this season. I don't expect them to win more than 4 to 5 games. Okay, then you move on to the Tennessee Titans with Carnell Tate. I absolutely loved this pick. I know a lot of people wanted them to draft Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese, but I think this was the perfect pick for the Tennessee Titans. And the reason why I think it was the perfect pick for the Tennessee Titans is because Cam Ward needs a number 1 wide receiver. If you believe in Cam Ward and you think he's the guy, then that's exactly where you go to. And that's exactly what they did. And if you guys forget, or you just to put this back into play, Brian Daboll was hired by the Tennessee Titans a couple months ago to be their offensive coordinator. You just brought in Robert Saleh as your head coach. He's a defensive minded guy, so that's why you say Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese. But in my opinion, I think this was the sure pick. I think this was the best option for the Tennessee Titans. I think they wanted Jeremiyah Love, but that didn't happen, of course, because he was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. But I think this is a move where it says, we believe in you, Cam Ward. We know you're the guy. You didn't have the greatest rookie season last year by statistical numbers. You had a bad rookie year, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to focus on the future. And we saw the product. We saw the tape from Carnell Tate at Ohio State's wide receiver U for a reason. Here's your stat here. Carnell Tate isn't just a prospect. He's the latest product of the most elite wide receiver factory in the NFL. Absolutely. So my thing here is this makes total sense. You saw, like I said, what Carnell Tate did at Ohio State, and he's going to prove himself even more now with Cam Ward. Cam Ward gets that number one wide receiver guy, kind of somewhat people thought the Patriots would do last year. Instead of when they took Will Campbell, instead they could have taken a receiver there, but this was the sure pick. This was the right pick by the Tennessee Titans. I have no problem with it. I know people say, well, we could have gone defense. We have Calvin Ridley, or we could have drafted somebody in the later round, or maybe we could have gotten. No, there wasn't this wide receiver class for the first round. It's not extremely deep. Of course, you had, Casey Concepcion, you have Makai Lemon, you have Jordan Tate, Cardinal Tate, and Jordan Tyson. So if I missed anybody, I don't think I did, but I think this was the right pick for the Tennessee Titans. I think it made the most sense. And now you say, oh, Cam Ward, we believe in you. There's no more time to wait. You drafted Carnell Tate. I think it's going to work out perfectly for the Titans. I mean, you just saw what he did at Ohio State with Carnell Tate did. Then, of course, the Giants with Arvell Reese. And some people are concerned because they're like, well, what position is he going to play? And, of course, now his teammate Malik Neighbors was concerned or frustrated that they drafted him. I think the Giants made the right pick with Arvell Reese. You saw what he did at Ohio State, and just, giving Ohio State flowers right now, even though I can't stand Ohio State and their fans. But the players from that defensive unit last year were just exceptional, as well as the offensive side of the ball, of course, with Carnell Tate. However, though, going back to Arvell Reese, this was the right pick for the Giants. Some people could say, well, they should have drafted Styles. No, this was the perfect play for the New York Giants. Arvell Reese was a stud at Ohio State. I know Sonny Styles had a freakish combine, for people that they wanted him to be drafted there. I think this made sense at 5. I could have seen them drafting Caleb Downs, and I know the 10th pick, of course, with Moauga, but that's probably the pick I would have gone with if I was I thought they would have drafted Downs. I was like, there's no way Caleb Downs slides out of 10. Well, he slid to 11 to the Cowboys, and we'll get into that. And then you move into Mansour Delane by the Chiefs. That was a good pick there as well. They wanted their guy. They drafted their guy. They said, nope, you know what? This is our sure guy at number 6. We traded up. We had the 9th pick in the draft, and we traded up, of course, to get him with the Cleveland Browns. And I like this. You lost McDuffie in a trade to the Rams, and now you get Mansour Delane, who's younger. You saw what he did at LSU. I like this pick. I've liked all the picks so far, really. And then you go on to Jordan. We talked about Styles, Jordan Tyson with the New Orleans Saints. Sorry, Sonny Styles. I thought the Commanders were going to draft Sonny Styles while I was watching. I was like, he can be the guy after Bobby Wagner goes. He can learn from Bobby Wagner. Dan Quinn has had a great track record with coaching players, especially as a defensive-minded guy. I like this pick. I liked him at the draft. I thought he was potentially going to go top 5. He slipped a little bit out of the top 5, so I don't really have a problem with it. But I think Styles is going to be a stud. Like I said, you saw what he did at Ohio State and fast track to the NFL with his combine. Sometimes numbers don't translate, freakish athletes, but I think this guy, as you saw what he did at Ohio State, can be that guy for the Commanders. And what better way to learn from Bobby Wagner? Then you go on to Jordan Tyson. I like this pick, but the only thing is do we know if Tyler Shuck is the guy? We'll see this year, but I think it'll give him more confidence and more stability by the New Orleans Saints drafting Jordan Tyson. You saw his tape at Arizona State. He was the first receiver or second receiver off the board. Some people thought he could have been the first. Some people didn't know if Carnell Tate was going to go before him. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Then you go to the Browns with Fano. They needed offensive line help, so this did make sense for them on their end. I'm not a believer in Shadur yet. I got to see more this season. Obviously, they drafted Concepcion later in the first round. And then Moauga for the Giants. I like this pick. It's not a flashy, it's not a sexy pick. I get it. You need help for Jackson Dart because you think he's the guy, and Harbaugh is the one making the decisions, of course, with their front office. I thought they would have drafted Caleb Downs. I really think they should have drafted Caleb Downs, but they didn't think so. Maybe they were concerned about his knee, and maybe they don't think he was the guy. But I was shocked because John Harbaugh drafted Kyle Hamilton. Excuse me. And I thought that he would have followed up and said with the Giants and he would have drafted Downs. I was wrong. That's where I thought he was going. I was like, there's no way he slips past 10. Now you move into Caleb Downs for the Dallas Cowboys. Well, before I go, I think I think the Dallas Cowboys got the steal of the draft with Caleb Downs. I really do. I mean, the fact that this guy fell to 11, some people had him mocked as the preseason number 1 overall pick before the college football season started, and he fell to 11. I understand he had the knee situation, and but the fact that he fell to 11 just blows my mind. And the Cowboys traded up to get him. And what better way for a guy like him to land up in Dallas? I mean, flashy guy. I mean, you saw the tape at Ohio State. You saw what he did at Alabama a couple years ago. Transfers to Ohio State and is that guy at Ohio State, wins the national championship with Ohio State, is coached by Nick Saban when he was at Alabama. I mean, that'd be stud. I really think Caleb Downs could be the best player in the draft. I really do. I know some people say that's crazy. Mendoza, the reason why he went number 1 overall, I think you look back in this draft in a couple of years, or maybe even after this rookie season, and you go, yeah, the Dallas Cowboys got the steal of the draft, because I was shocked that he fell to 11. I was like, there's no way Caleb Downs falls to 11. Are you kidding me? And then the Cowboys traded up with the Dolphins to get him, and then the Dolphins don't draft Caleb Downs, and that's why I was like, what? You drafted Caden Proctor over Caleb Downs? I understand Caden Proctor is an animal. He's a big offensive tackle. You always need a good tackle. He's still a project guy. You saw the body of work of Caleb Downs and the player that he is, and he was at Ohio State. So I was more shocked by this than anything. I mean, some people ranked him number 4th overall. Like him sliding past 5 would be crazy. Cowboys got the steal of the draft. I mean, you saw what he did at Ohio State. The tape speaks for itself. Everybody knows who Caleb Downs is, and the Cowboys got an absolute steal. Dallas' secondary was terrible last year. I think a guy like Christian Parker he's going to be licking his chops with a guy like Caleb Downs. I really do. When he was with the Eagles last year to now with the Dallas Cowboys, I think it's going to work out perfectly for them. Of course, we talked about Caden Proctor with the Dolphins. Listen, I know the Dolphins aren't going to be a good team next year. I don't really know what they were thinking drafting Proctor, especially when you had the opportunity at Downs or other guys, Ruben Bain as well, that was available on the board. Proctor doesn't move the needle for me. I think it's a good pick, but I don't think it's a great pick. I think, we look back in a couple of years and we go, at the Dolphins, they really screwed this pick up. I liked Caden Proctor at Alabama. I really did. I think he's an athletic offensive tackle, but I think there was other positions that they needed to address. You lost Jalen Phillips, obviously Bradley Chubb. I know the Dolphins are basically in rebuild mode. I know they signed Malik Willis. I know they lost Waddle. Of course, they traded Waddle to the Broncos, but I still have Achane. But when you have an opportunity at a Caleb Downs or a Ruben Bain, you don't miss on a guy like that, or you don't miss on a guy like that. And that's exactly what they did. They missed out on, potentially 2 all-pro guys. Now, I could be completely wrong, but from what I've seen so far on what they did in college, how it's going to translate into the NFL, I think they're going to be just fine. Okay, some people may say the surprise of the entire NFL draft, Ty Simpson being drafted by the Los Angeles Rams at 13. Well, when I saw Ty Simpson in the green room on ESPN and they showed him when the Rams were on the clock, I was like, they're drafting Ty Simpson. And a lot of people thought they were going to draft Mekhi Lemon because Devontae Adams is getting older. Puka Nacua is due for that contract. It would work out perfectly for Stafford. But do I think the Los Angeles Rams failed Matthew Stafford? No. But did this draft pick make sense for now? No. Did it make sense for the future? Yes. Is Ty Simpson a project guy? Yes. Did he only have 15 starts in college? Yes. Was he bad against Indiana? Yes. Was he also injured? Yes. So Ty Simpson has I don't know what Ty Simpson's ceiling is. I really don't. Do I think the Rams should have drafted him? No. Do I hate the pick? No. But Sean McVay looked very perplexed. He was very confused. But this goes back to Les Snead and Ty Simpson's dad have been friends for quite some time now. So this didn't surprise me at all. I get it. You got to plan for the future. I mean, the Packers drafted Jordan Love for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you could say it's worked out completely, but Jordan Love is not a bad quarterback in the NFL. The Patriots drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, and Garoppolo sat behind Brady. Did it work out in the Patriots' favor the way they wanted to? Well, I mean, Garoppolo was a good backup for the Patriots. You saw when the Deflategate happened, they went 3-1 as a starter. But there's been other situations in the past as well. It's one of those things where it's like, I was not shocked that the Rams drafted Ty Simpson. Like I said, when I saw him and they showed him on screen, I was like, they're probably going to draft him and people are going to be shocked. Was it the right pick for now? No. You just made the NFC Championship last year and you're still going to be competing with the Seattle Seahawks and as well as the other teams in the NFC. Does this help out Matthew Stafford? Now, no. But it does help you out for the future. And I'm not going to question the Rams picks over their tenure or their draft because obviously they got the Falcons pick from the year before for this draft here. They traded for Trent McDuffie. Do the Rams still have a ton of pieces on that team? Does it really hurt the Rams that much by drafting Ty Simpson? Not really, because you have Puka Nacua and you have Devontae Adams and you have Kyron Williams and you have Blake Corum and your team is good and you have a great coach, Sean McVay. So really, does it really hurt them now? Not really. It's a draft pick, right? Yes, the Rams have drafted exceptionally well over the years. They have. It's not a secret. Puka Nacua, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. There's other guys that you can keep going down the list. Not Von Miller, sorry. Aaron Donald they drafted. So there's been plenty of guys that have worked out for the Rams that they've drafted. But sometimes, you say, hey, you know what? Stafford is coming to the end. Stafford may say, hey, I can continue to play for a couple more seasons. We don't know if that's the case, right? Listen, Stafford could get hurt next season, or the elbow could be worse, or something could happen, right? Now you don't have a backup. Oh, okay, you have Stetson Bennett. Okay, Stetson Bennett. Well, now you have Ty Simpson, right? And Ty Simpson gets to mold. He gets to learn under Matthew Stafford. Listen, everyone always wants the flashy, sexy pick right away. Well, they could have drafted Makai Lemon, or well, they could have drafted this guy. They could have drafted that guy. It's like they didn't. And hey, maybe it does work out, but I think it's going to work out for the Rams. They've drafted exceptionally well. And Sean McVay, I don't question anything Sean McVay does. I haven't questioned anything Les Snead has done. They're always working behind the scenes. So I've got no problem with that pick. Ravens drafted Vega out of Penn State. I think that's a good pick there for them. Lamar Jackson could always use the offensive line help. Ruben Bain, the Bucs pick. I love this pick from the Bucs. I thought they were gonna reach and they were gonna draft Mesidor at 15, and some people thought Sonny Styles could have fell to the Bucs. No, Ruben Bain was the sure pick. You saw what he did at Miami, and I'm so sick and tired of people saying, "Well, Ruben Bain's arms are his arms are so short, or his arms are so short in his measurements that they don't match up in the NFL." Or it's like, come on, it's like, give me a break. It didn't hurt him or didn't affect him at Miami, and the fact that he gets to stay in the Sunshine State, Ruben Bain's a dog. And I love this pick by the Bucs. The Bucs draft pretty well. The year before they drafted Ibuka. This year they drafted Bain. They are a very, very good team at drafting. I think this is going to work out for the Bucs. And Ruben Bain is all business. I don't think he gives a flying bleep what people think about the arms thing or the length, or he's not ready for the NFL. It's going to really affect him. It's like, that's such a bunch of garbage. I love the pick from them. The Jets drafted Kenyon Sadiq at 16. I like Kenyon Sadiq. I think he's an athletic guy. I think this is a move for the future more than anything. Obviously, Geno Smith is the quarterback, but yeah, I'm not like, oh my gosh, my socks are blown off by the pick. I like Sadiq. He's an athletic tight end. I think it's a solid pick. But they drafted Mason Taylor the year before. Was this a need that they needed to fill right away? Maybe you can say that. I don't think so. Blake Miller out of Clemson, the 17th pick by the Lions. They needed tackle help there. Monroe Freeling by the Panthers. Well, of course, they believe in Bryce Young, so they're drafting another tackle. Maxi Honachor. This was the pick that I wanted the Patriots to take. I had a feeling a team was going to reach up there and grab him early. I'm not mad about it. I liked him out of Arizona State. The only problem is he's a project guy. I do like the pick. I wanted the Patriots to draft him, but I'm not mad about the Patriots drafting Caleb Lomu. Then you move to Lemon from the Eagles. Well, if this just gives you any sort of clarity, or this gives you anything you needed more, AJ Brown is not going to be on the Eagles next season. I don't know how many times I have to say this, like day in and day out. I sound like a broken record at this point. You drafted Makai Lemon. Why the heck would you draft Makai Lemon if you know if AJ Brown is going to be on the team next year? He's not. Why the heck would you sign Hollywood Brown if AJ Brown's going to be on the team next year? He's not. Why would you bring in Elijah Moore? Why would you trade for Dontavian Wicks? So going back to Makai Lemon, do I like this pick for the Philadelphia Eagles? Well, they wanted their guy. They traded up with the Steelers to get him. I like Makai Lemon. He's a Biletnikoff winner. I think he's got some work to do with his interviews and his not per se his off the field stuff. But do I like the pick as a whole? I do, but the problem is now when the Philadelphia Eagles lose A.J. Brown, they're not going to have a true physical wide receiver one, and that's helped Jalen Hurts out since he's been there, since he was drafted by the Eagles. You had that security blanket or that soft net with A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith, very small, very undersized. Mekhi Lemon, undersized, very small, both very speedy guys. Elijah Moore, Hollywood Brown, Dontavian Wicks. Who's the true wide receiver one there? Is it Devontae Smith? I'm sure it is, but he's not a physical threat type guy. I don't know. I like the pick. I think it'll help the Eagles out, but I think they're gonna be hurting more when they lose AJ Brown more than anything. But I do like Mekhi Lemon. He had an exceptional career at USC. There's a reason why he won the Blitnikoff winner. He's a freak in nature. He's very athletic. He's great in open space. He's got tremendous speed. So I think this will help Jalen Hurts out, but I think it'll hurt them in the long run when they lose A.J. Brown. I know A.J. Brown's getting up there in age and you're drafting a young Kyle Lemon. You have Devontae Smith, but you don't have that true wide receiver one. You just don't. You don't have that physical freak in nature guy that can go up for a jump ball like an A.J. Brown or a Mike Evans or Cortland Sutton. And some people can want to debunk this because CeeDee Lamb isn't a physical type guy, but he's a wide receiver one. It's like, yes, but CeeDee Lamb is a lot better than Mekhi Lemon, or CeeDee Lamb is a lot better than Devontae Smith, or you don't have a T Higgins, or you don't have a Jamar Chase, or you don't have a Justin Jefferson. You don't have that true wide receiver one alpha type guy. It's not a bad thing, but that's something that I will be looking out for when this upcoming season starts with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, then you move on to I miss Caleb Banks, my bad. I like Caleb Banks from Florida. I think it's all about Caleb Banks to stay healthy. Do I think it was a reach? Maybe a little. Maybe he could have been there later in the first, but the Vikings like this guy that needed defensive line help, and I liked him at Florida when I watched him play. When he did play, I think at Florida he only played 1 or 2 games last season, but he's a guy that, if he turns out, if his ceiling, I don't know if it's extremely high. We'll see. He's a very, gifted type of defensive tackle. We'll see how it works out. Akeem Mesidor from the Chargers. I think he's a good pass rusher. He's not Ruben Bain, of course. I watched him at Miami. He's on the older side more than anything. That's a concern there, but I do like the pick, and that's kind of really how I feel about that. Malachi Lawrence from the Cowboys. This is the UCF guy. He's a project guy more than anything. He could turn out to be Taco Charlton 2.0, or he could turn out to be the next greatest thing the Cowboys have ever drafted. Who knows? It's a wishy-washy pick for me. The sure pick was Caleb Downs. It was a later pick. I get it. It's not that big of a deal. Casey Concepcion for the Browns. Well, I think the Browns got a little desperate here more than anything, but I get it because a lot of the good wide receivers were off the board. I watched Casey Concepcion at A&M. I'm really glad the Patriots didn't draft him more than anything. I don't think this is like a thing where it's like you jump out of your seat and you go, this is the guy for Shedeur Sanders. This is the guy that's going to help the Browns get them to 10 wins. No, I don't think so. I think it's a good pick. I think he's versatile. I think he's very good in open space, but the only problem I have with him is him catching the ball. That's the only problem I have with him. But he's athletic. I watched him at A&M. I think he's a good player. He doesn't move the needle for me. Then you move to Dylan Thieneman from the Bears. Do I love this pick? No, not really. I know he's an athletic safety. You can move him up in the box. Maybe play him a hybrid linebacker type role. Depends on how the Bears will use him. But it's a later pick more than anything. I watched him at Oregon. I do like him. I don't love him. But listen, I get it when you get in the later first. It could be a steal. It could be a bust. Who knows? That's the nature of this. But I'd probably give it like a 78 grade more than anything. Keelan Rutledge from Georgia Tech to the Texans. Well, the Texans needed offensive line help, and if anything, that proved to you was the playoffs last year, how bad they were protecting C.J. Stroud this last playoffs as well as the regular season. Then you move on to Caleb Lomu from the Patriots. Well, of course, Patriots fans were upset about this pick, and some people love this pick. This pick is not for this season. This pick is for the future because Morgan Moses is going to be coming to an end very soon. He's 35 years old. And Caleb Lomu's original position is Will Campbell's position. But the best thing for Caleb Lomu is he's going to learn. And I don't hate this pick. I really don't. I know some people say, well, they should have drafted an edge here. This should have been the Zion Young pick, or they should have traded up. but I know they traded up from 31 to 28 with the Buffalo Bills. I don't hate this pick. I really don't. You need protection for Drake May. And let's say, Morgan Moses gets hurt. Now you halfway through the season. Or you know what? Maybe Lomo beats him out in training camp. But I like the pick from the Patriots. I wanted Ihanachour. I didn't know a lot about Lomu, but when I watched a little bit of his tape, he allowed 0 sacks with a 2.3 pressure rate. He has the foot speed to stay on an island with the league's fastest edge rushers. Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of research on him. He's probably not going to start day one. I wanted Ihanachour, but that's not what the Patriots went with there, of course, because he was drafted by the Steelers. But he was the so yeah, I mean, yes, that's the main thing, is he's the higher apparent to Morgan Moses. That's what you have to look at it as. You look at it as he's not really a project guy, because you saw how many games he started at Utah. And of course you have Elijah Vera Tucker there as well, Will Campbell, Jared Wilson. He's back to center now, Morgan Moses. I like the pick. You believe in Drake May. You saw what happened in the Super Bowl. You saw the Patriots offensive line this past postseason. You saw how it wasn't the greatest in the regular season. It's still a very young team. Lomu's a young guy. You drafted Will Campbell the year before, and that's the thing. You believe in Drake May. You have Will Campbell on one side, and for the future, you have Lomu. So this is building for the future. Why did the Patriots draft a wide receiver? Why did the Patriots draft a defensive ender? We needed a linebacker helper. We needed defensive end help. It's like, no, the most important thing is protecting Drake May, and that's your meal ticket, or that's your only chance to get to a Super Bowl. So I have no problem with the Patriots drafting Caleb Lomu. I didn't know a lot about him beforehand, but I watched a little bit of his tape, and I liked it. The fact that he allowed 0 sacks and 359 pass blocking snaps at Utah, that goes to show you. I get it's Utah. It's not the SEC, but it doesn't matter. It's not the Big Ten. It's still a good pick in my opinion, and I really do like it. The Peter Woods, of course, by the Chiefs. I think that was a solid pick. Some people saw him potentially going early second. Omar Cooper Jr. to the Jets. I liked Omar Cooper Jr. at Indiana. I think he was good, of course, in the national championship. He was good in the playoffs. You saw how good he was in the regular season. I remember the Penn State game, of course, when Mendoza threw it to him in the back of the end zone. Keldrick Falk from Auburn for the Titans. Well, they got their defensive guy here. And then the Seahawks with Jadarian Price. Obviously, you saw they lost Kenneth Walker, so this pick made sense. And it's funny because his other teammate, Jeremiyah Love, went 3, and they're both going to be in the same division. So that wraps up the first round of the NFL draft. That took up 27 minutes of the show. It's a once-in-a-year type thing where we talk about the NFL draft. And the next stuff we'll talk about here is we'll move to this segment of the show. This doesn't have anything to do with the NFL draft. I just wanted to address this. Guys, a few weeks ago on the podcast, I said, we don't know about the Vrabel, Rossini stuff. It was just pictures. They're spotted at the pool. Who knows, right? And then more stuff started to come out. And I'm not going to say, okay, maybe to say I was wrong, or, some people were saying, you crazy for saying that they weren't anything at the time. Guys, I didn't know. I knew just as much as you. And maybe I should have put 2 and 2 together, but the way that they were coming out with, there were 2 people spotted at the pool, and then there were other stuff, but the holding hands thing, I probably should have been like, okay, I probably should have been like, yeah, maybe I'm an idiot for thinking this. No, but Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel had a relationship. It's very obvious now. All of the stuff that has come out from the Spotify playlist this morning, from when it was in 2020 to the 6 years ago when they were spotted kissing at a New York City bar, to, of course, recently with the holding hands in Arizona. Guys, it's really embarrassing for the Patriots. It's really embarrassing for the NFL. If this was any other coach that didn't have the name and recognition like Mike Vrabel, yeah, he'd probably be fired. But he didn't violate any workplace policy. We've had this conversation. Does Mike Vrabel have a lot of healing to do? Is he a bad person? Are people are going to say he's a scumbag, he's a loser? Everyone makes mistakes. I'm not condoning his behavior. I don't appreciate anything he's done. But he's getting a second chance with the Patriots. They view him as a leader of men in the locker room for the Patriots, and they don't want to lose out on a guy like Mike Vrabel, who was there with the Patriots for many, many seasons. And it's very tough to say. It sucks, really, right? You'd see your coach, in the public eye, and they have only themselves to blame, Rossini and Vrabel. Maybe the writing was on the wall years ago. There's been there was hints out there. And you know, another thing too, taking a step back here from last year, when there was training camp going on and Rossini was interviewing Vrabel, it looked that interview that I watched, I was like kind of fishy about it. I didn't know anything about what was going on behind closed doors, but it was really weird. It really was. And what made it even worse is that the two basically denied it. You know, it was completely it was an innocent interaction, and then the stuff even came out even more. Yes, it's a very, very bad look on Mike Vrabel. It is. I'm not going to sit here and say it isn't. But another thing too, I want to bring into light. People were trying to compare Sharon Moore and Ime Udoka to the Mike Vrabel situation. Ime Udoka violated workplace policy. He was fraternizing with an employee. Sharon Moore was fraternizing with an employee who also worked for the University of Michigan, as well as Ime Udoka, who fraternized with a Boston Celtics staff member. So Mike Vrabel, Sharon Moore, and Ime Udoka are not even comparable. It has nothing to do. I know people are making it out to be a bigger thing, this, that, and the third, and you know exactly where I'm leading into. It has nothing to do with that. The fact that Mike Vrabel didn't get fired or let go of his duties is because that he wasn't with a employee on the Patriots staff. Now, if he was, he would 100% be gone. I don't care if you have 10 Super Bowls. If you're fraternizing with an employee, that's a no in a workplace policy that they say, right? Now, some people do it, and they but listen, there's a lot more to that story. But guys, yes, Rossini resigned from the Athletic. Of course, it followed the internal investigation for the. But you know what? It was interesting. Of course, you saw Vrabel miss the day 3 in the NFL draft, and he went into counseling, and he was back at the facility yesterday. So, but the one thing that people were concerned about is people are now looking back at Rossini reporting on AJ Brown to the Patriots. If she was in a relationship with the head coach, was she reporting the news or shaping it? It calls the entire credibility of likely that trade into question. I don't think that's the case. I know people are trying to make that a story, or they're trying to frame it that way. I don't think the AJ Brown story has anything to do with Diana Rossini or the Mike Vrabel part. I know the connection between Mike Vrabel and AJ Brown was when, of course, AJ Brown played for the Tennessee Titans when Mike Vrabel was the coach there. But this doesn't have any barring or any hindrance or any effect on the trade from AJ Brown being sent from the Eagles to the Patriots. But do I think Mike Vrabel should be suspended for his actions? No, because he didn't violate any workplace policy, and the NFL has not come out and said we're suspending Mike for anything like that. He messed up. He made a complete error, and the worst part about it is the fact that it went on for 6 years. That's the worst part about it. It's like I just don't understand how some people can be so dumb. It's like, you're public figures. Like, you don't think you're eventually going to get caught? Like, every celebrity is literally photographed by paparazzi. Now, Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini are not celebrities by any stretch of the margin or any way, shape, or form. But when you're in the public eye like that, you have to know better. And don't publicly humiliate your family, right? Vrabel has a family. Don't publicly humiliate Rossini. She has a husband. We've seen the clips about her, what she has said about her husband on ESPN. It's like the signs were there, and that's the most embarrassing part about it. It's like she said in a clip, I one time I was in Miami and I didn't even know I don't even remember where I was or what I was doing. Some things I wouldn't even tell my husband. And then she's on ESPN. She's on Get Up when she was working for ESPN, and she specifically was on there and she said, yeah, you know, my husband isn't as good looking as some of these people, or I like that. And then the craziest part about it is she names her son Michael. It's like, guys, this is one of the craziest stories in recent years. And like, going back to what I said, the fact that it went on for 6 years is actually insane. And like the playlist thing that came out this morning, and there's more stuff I'm sure that's going to come out. People probably knew, but they probably didn't want to say anything. Listen, the truth always comes out. And listen, another thing, the truth will always set you free. All right, guys. On that note, I am moving on to the next part of the show. Well, going back to the draft here, I did want to talk about this player, Jermod McCoy to the Raiders. This was a guy that was supposed to be a top 15 pick. You saw the situation that happened with him in 2025 when he tore his ACL in college for the Tennessee Volunteers. And some team took a gamble on him, and that's exactly the Las Vegas Raiders. And the irony here, or the the poetic part of it, is it took a gamble. Vegas is the perfect place to gamble because it's the gambling capital of the world. Anyways, though, I hope this pick works out for the Raiders with Jermod McCoy, because this guy, he got robbed, man, of an injury. He got injured, the ACL, and now he might need more surgery, and teams were very skeptical on drafting him, and that's what sucks. But the beauty of it is his NIL. He was able to make his money that way. But it sucks. Injuries suck, man. They really do. The fact that he was a top 15 pick, I really hope it works out for the Las Vegas Raiders more than anything. He was a number 14 overall prospect. He would have very easily, most likely, gone in the top 15 if it wasn't for this injury. And the Raiders took a gamble. But hey, you know what? This could very well work out for them more than anything. It's like maybe he doesn't, I don't know, maybe he plays this season, maybe he doesn't, and he gets the more surgery that he needs, and he's ready to go by the following season. But they took a gamble. It's only if they took him in the 4th round. I knew somebody was going to draft him. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. I thought it was going to be between rounds 4 to 6, and good for the Raiders, really. This is exactly why the Raiders, they traded up to get him too. So I don't think I don't think you have anything to lose with a pick like this. I really don't. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Carson Beck going to the Arizona Cardinals and Drew Allar to the Steelers. Well, if you remember on the podcast last week, I said I think the Steelers should draft a quarterback. Now, it didn't happen in round 1. It happened in round 3. Drew Allar, Penn State guy. He's a project guy. We don't know if Rodgers is coming back. You have Will Howard and you have Mason Rudolph on the roster. But I have no problem with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking a flyer on Drew Allar. I really don't. The quarterback's coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers has been watching him since he was 14. He's got a big arm. Yeah, he's got a lot of learning to do. But hypothetically, let's just say Aaron Rodgers does come back another year. I roll. Let's say he does come back another year. Well, if he does, Drew Allar can learn under him, and Drew Allar will probably be behind Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. No problem. He still gets to learn, or maybe he gets to learn under those two guys. Or maybe he beats them out in training camp. Maybe it's like a Joe Flacco, Shadur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel situation from the Browns last year on that metric level of comparing putting these quarterbacks in the quarterback room and saying who's better, who deserves to be the quarterback too if Rodgers does come back. Listen, I have no problem with it. I like Drew Allar at Penn State. Some people say he's the Walmart Josh Allen. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. Obviously, you saw he got hurt last year, which was unfortunate to see. The end of his career, got stripped. Of course, the season before that was in the playoffs against Notre Dame, and he threw the ugly interception. He's got a lot of learning to do, but I do like it. It's a 3rd round pick more than anything. He's 6'5", 235, so he's got a big arm. If he can keep those decisions under check, or he can not be a bonehead, and he can learn under if Rodgers comes back, or Mike McCarthy per se, now that he's the Steelers coach, I think he could be the guy. I do. We'll see. I'm not saying he's going to be the guy. He could be the guy. The next thing we'll talk about, we'll shift into the NBA briefly, is the Eastern Conference playoffs and the Western Conference playoffs. Well, last week, of course, was basically like the beginning of the first round. Now we're kind of wrapping up to the end. But guys, I cannot believe the Atlanta Magic. I can't believe the Orlando Magic are up 3-1 the Pistons. I thought this was going to be a dogfight series. I didn't think it was going to be 3-1. Its series is not over yet. It's the first to 4, so it's not over yet. But I'm just shocked that the Orlando Magic are punching the Pistons in the mouth. And some people are saying the Pistons are going to walk to the finals. Nobody can beat them. They're not even going to escape the first round. Next thing, Celtics are up 3-1. Joel Embiid came back. Celtics should wrap that series up tonight. Tatum and Brown have been superb, and the Celtics will await the winner of the Knicks and the Hawks. If Celtics win tonight, which I'm confident they will, it'll be nice for them to get a couple days rest, especially with Tatum, of course, with the Achilles. Brown has had a heavy workload, so it'll be great for the Celtics to get some rest after they win tonight. I'm pretty confident they'll win, but VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey have been great. It was very interesting to see Joel Embiid come back. They got blown out even with him back, but I think they lose that. I think the Sixers lose tonight, and the Celtics wrap it up. This is a great series. Knicks and Hawks is tied 2-2. This is a turning point game tonight for the Knicks and the Hawks. This can really go either way. And some people say Mike Brown might be on the hot seat, even if the Knicks win this series or they don't make the finals, which it's New York sports media. It's the New York Knicks. I wouldn't doubt it. Cavs-Raptors series is tied 2-2. You just had the Raptors win both their home games on their home floor. The series shifts back to Cleveland. I think the Cavs will win at home, and then they'll close it out in Toronto. But the Toronto's been impressive. They really have. Then you move to the West. Of course, you had the Phoenix Suns and the Thunder. The Suns got swept by the Thunder last night. Even without Jalen Williams, the Thunder were superb. I mean, we'll see what happens in the next series. The Thunder are going to wait the winner of the Lakers and the Rockets. Spurs are up 3-1 against the Blazers. I fully expect them to close that series out in 5, which I expected them to win in 5. Nuggets T-Wolves. This one took a turn with Anthony Edwards hyperextended his knee, and he's out a couple weeks. And the Nuggets have been in a situation where they've been down 3-1 before, and now they're down 3-1. Nikola Jokic had a triple-double last night. Very unfortunate for T-Wolves. Anthony Edwards hyperextended the knee. Then you lose Dante DiVincenzo, who tears his Achilles, and now the Timberwolves look pedestrian. They looked lifeless out there. So now the series shifts back to Minnesota, and this series might go 7. It really will. And oh man, that'll be terrible for the T-Wolves to be up 3-1 and blow that. And if they do blow the series, Anthony Edwards isn't playing, but that'll be tough. The next series I wanted to mention is the Lakers and the Rockets. Well, guys, I did say before the playoffs started, I said there is no way the Lakers are going to win the first round. They're probably going to get swept. It's going to be very painful to watch LeBron James go out like that as a Laker. Wow. Well, I was wrong. I was quite wrong. And LeBron, I will never underestimate LeBron James again. I don't care if Kevin Durant is playing. I don't care if he's playing against Jokic. I don't even care. It didn't even matter if the Lakers were going to win this series or not. LeBron just proved to you Father Time is undefeated. The fact that he and the Lakers were up 3-1 in this series and how good he has been, and he basically single-handedly willed them to win, willed them to victory in game 3. Of course, last game they lost in game 4, but KD has been out, of course. But even when Kevin Durant played against the Lakers, I'm pretty sure it was game 2, the Lakers still won. LeBron James is an anomaly. The fact that he's doing this at 41 years old is insane. LeBron James has never missed a playoff game in his career. You will never see anything like LeBron James again ever in your life. Watching the end of that game 3 against the Lakers Rockets, I was like, wow, this is shades of 2017, 2018 LeBron. LeBron James is averaging pretty sure more points in this playoff tenure than he did with one of his years for the Miami Heat. Like, I don't even know how to process it. In game 4 on Sunday, he did something no human has ever done. He became the first player in NBA history to reach 3,000 career playoff field goals made. Just think about that and put that into perspective. Yes, LeBron was rough last game, understandable, but he's still almost basically averaging close to a triple-double. And here's one to put into perspective. LeBron compared to MJ at 41. Well, Michael Jordan, by the age of 40, retired twice from the NBA, came back, and then when he was age 40, he played in all 82 games. He averaged 37 minutes a game, and he averaged 20 points a game. Team didn't make the playoffs. Now, if you want to put this in a conversation, well, if LeBron was on the Lakers and they didn't have Luka or Reeves, they probably wouldn't be in the playoffs. I don't know if you can say that. I mean, look what he's doing to this Rockets team. I know it's a small sample. It's not a big body of work, but the fact that LeBron is basically carrying this Lakers team at the age of 41 is insane. I don't know how to put it into words. I honestly don't think you'll ever see this again in your lifetime. He was playing with the Rockets food against the Rockets in games 1, 2, and 3. Game 4, it was but all before that. Listen, I underestimated I didn't underestimate LeBron. I knew LeBron was going to do good, but I didn't think they were going to be in this position. I didn't think they were going to be up 3-1. And when the Lakers win this series in 5, I don't want to hear anyone ever say the Kevin Durant, LeBron James argument ever again. I don't care if Kevin Durant's only played in one game this series or if he plays tonight and they lose. I don't want to hear it. I don't. KD needed Steph Curry to win those championships. Steph Curry never needed KD. KD needed the Warriors more than they needed him. And that's exactly what it goes to show you in a series like this. The Rockets roster is still pretty darn talented. There's no excuses why the Rockets are losing. I don't care about inexperience. They've got Şengün. They've got Jabari Smith. They don't have a point guard. Okay, I don't care. They're playing against a 41-year-old LeBron James, Marcus Smart, who was signed for a bag of chips, Luke Kennard, who is just a three-point shooter. Rui Hachimura is a solid player. But other than that, who do the Lakers have? Vanderbilt, a shell of himself. LaRavia, solid role player. No Reeves, no Luka, and you're still up 3-1 in this series. I don't care what anybody says. I really don't. JJ Redick and LeBron James have put on an absolute masterclass for the Los Angeles Lakers. They really have. LeBron's 3,000 playoff bucket is a number MJ could never reach. He's MJ didn't have the Jordan finished with 2,188 playoff field goals. LeBron has surpassed him nearly 800 buckets in the postseason alone. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. The next thing I wanted to move to was this Cooper Flagg winning Rookie of the Year for the Dallas Mavericks. When Cooper Flagg had his 50-point barrage game, and from March 21st, when he was averaging 25 points per game on, and he is he's the third Maverick to win the award, and the fact that he put up numbers since MJ did, and leading first rookie to do it since 1985 to lead his team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. Youngest player in NBA history to lead a team in all four major categories. I was like, yeah, Con Knepel's not going to win this award. Oh, Joey, Con Knepel won. He had the most 3-pointers in the NBA out of rookies and all players. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Cooper Flagg is a one of one. He's an anomaly type player. We haven't, other than, he's in the conversation for greatest rookies ever, and he just proved to you with the numbers that he did. And yeah, okay, the Mavericks had a very rough season. No Kyrie. Cooper Flagg was hurt some games, but Con Knepel didn't get robbed. Go compare the statistics and just go look at all the accolades Cooper Flagg has already accomplished in his rookie year. A 3-point shooter that Con Knepel did not have the effect like Cooper Flagg had. That's all I'll say. I'll tell you this right now. If Cooper Flagg was on the Hornets, they wouldn't be in the play-in game. I'll tell you that right now. They would be in the playoffs. So, and I think you'll even see Cooper Flagg take even a bigger step next year for the Dallas Mavericks. Their offense ran through Cooper Flagg the entire season. Think about how crazy that is. As a rookie, he did that. His numbers: 21 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.2 steals. I mean, just the fact that Cooper Flagg had that insane March, and he was the 51-point masterpiece, made him the youngest player to ever hit the 50-point mark. Just right there. After that game, I said, he won the Rookie of the Year. It's over. It's done. I know he was injured beforehand, and Con Knepel was leading at one point, which I thought was crazy. And then you just saw what he did this past season and why he won Rookie of the Year. Okay, guys, the next thing I wanted to shift into briefly, this is a longer show because there's been a lot. The draft took up a lot of the show. MLB, Boston Red Sox. Well, if you guys don't remember a few weeks ago on the podcast, I did say that Alex Cora was probably going to be fired by the Boston Red Sox if the season continued the way it was. When the Red Sox had the worst record in the MLB with the White Sox and the Colorado Rockies at that one point it was. I think they were 4-13 or whatever it was. It was the very beginning of the season and they were terrible. Now they're 12-17. They've won 3 straight games. But the thing is do I think the Red Sox should have fired Alex Cora? No, I don't. I think the front office, Craig Breslow and John Henry are the ones to blame here more than anything. And I know, I posted a clip a couple weeks ago saying like, how dare Red Sox fans are spoiled. This doesn't have anything to do with that. This is a knack on the ownership, on the front office more than anything. You let go of Alex Bregman, who you brought in Caleb Durbin to replace him. Look at the drop off there. Ranger Suarez hasn't been the guy. I know he had a great game last night. Brian Bello has been terrible, but this isn't an Alex Cora fault. It's the way you shape this roster or the construction of this roster more than anything. Alex Cora brought you a World Series in 2018. He had that clubhouse stable. I know there was some rift between Trevor Story and Alex Cora. And then, you have the younger guys, but what did the Red Sox expect with this team? You expected to compete with the Yankees. You expected to compete with the Dodgers. You expected to compete with those top teams with the roster that you have, the young guys. Listen, I thought the Red Sox were a World Series contender before the start of the season. I really did. I thought their pitching more than anything would put them into that contention. When I said World Series contender, I am saying in the AL. They are not on the same playing field as the Los Angeles Dodgers. I understand they've won 3 games since the firing of Alex Cora. It's very ironic that they won 17-1 against the Orioles this past weekend, and then they went and fired him. This move was done before that. It was probably a couple days before that. Listen, I get it. It's the business of baseball. John Henry's under a lot of pressure right now, as well as Craig Breslow, but the front office decisions that they've made over the past, go back, everyone talks about the Mookie Betts trade. So listen, that the construction of this roster is not on the playing field of those elite teams. It really isn't. I watched them play against the Yankees in the series and they got swept for a reason. Yeah, their pitching had a lot to do with it, but they don't really have any firepower for bats. Jarren Duran, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer, Monasterio, Yoshida, Trevor Story, a lot of the young guys have not been performing well, but that's not a fault of Alex Cora's more than anything. Listen, the Red Sox needed a scapegoat, and that's exactly what they got. They got rid of Alex Cora. They have the interim manager now, and that's really how I feel more than anything. The Red Sox just haven't been good as a team. The manager can't go out there and make these guys play better. He can, for certain substitutions or bring in this pitcher and this guy, pull him from the bull or bring him in from the bullpen in a certain inning or certain, strategic decisions there. But this isn't the playoffs. This is the regular season. A manager can only help the team so much. The Red Sox needed a scapegoat, and this is exactly what they decided. This is exactly what they got. Crochet is another guy who's been awful this season. He was a borderline Cy Young guy last year. That's not Alex Cora's fault that he's pitching bad. Ranger Suarez before yesterday's start, pitching bad is not Alex Cora's fault. But you also did sign Sonny Gray from the front office did. You really thought Sonny Gray was going to be this elite arm? You thought that Sonny Gray, who was been around he's a journeyman around the MLB? I mean, what did you guys expect? This isn't Alex Cora's fault. Moving away from baseball, I'll move into the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference for the NHL briefly. Of course, the Hurricanes swept the Senators. You have the Sabres up 3-1 on the Bruins. The Sabres have just been taking it to the Bruins as of late. They probably wrap up this series. I don't know if the Bruins have much left to give. Surprising one is the Flyers and the Penguins. The Flyers were up 3-0 in the series. And now the Penguins have won the last two games. They're probably arguably the best series of the playoffs so far. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Canadiens, along with the Wild and the Stars, probably the two best series. I mean, something's got to give in this series. I mean, the fact that 3 of the 4 games have gone to extra time, I knew this was going to be a battle series. The Canadiens were good in the regular season. They've got a lot of good young guys, and something's got to give in this series. I would love for the series to go 7. Move to the Western Conference. You had the Avalanche at the Kings. Avalanche are just an absolute powerhouse, sweeping the Los Angeles Kings. Ducks and the Oilers. Edmonton's on the brink of elimination. Ducks have really surprised me being up 3-1. I thought the McDavid Oilers and Draisaitl would get out of the first round, but the Ducks are legit. They really are. Knights and the Mammoth series aside 2-2. We'll see what happens here. Game 5 tomorrow. Stars the Wild. This has been a great series. Both these teams are both well over 100 points in the regular season. This series is featured a 2 overtime game and an overtime game. So we'll be getting ready for the second round coming up here. The next thing I wanted to bring up on the show is this one here. And this doesn't really contradict myself. It's about the Azzi Fudd and the Paige Bueckers stuff here more than anything. This was the topic of the WNBA. This was addressed this past Monday on Media Day. I have zero problem with Paige Bueckers and Azzi Fudd dating. They didn't come out publicly when they were at UConn last year, but I don't understand why people do have a problem with this. It doesn't make any sense. I don't even know why this really was addressed. They're both professional adults. They've handled it at UConn. Yes, they didn't publicly address it at the time, but this is not the first time that players have been in relationships in the WNBA. It's not a crazy thing. So really, we don't need to spend that much time on it. They were at UConn, they dated, and they held their media day. But some of the media asked some weird questions, and the Dallas Wings were trying to shut it down as best as they could. But like Paige Bueckers and Azzi Fudd said, this is the last time we'll address this. Let's focus on what we're doing on the court more than anything. What we do off the court is our personal business, and that's exactly all I'll say. All right, guys, we're going to shift into the last part of the show, which is the entertainment segment of the show. Well, if you guys know, if you guys didn't know, or you do know, the Michael Jackson movie came out it came out last weekend, April 24th, and I watched the movie. And it was one of the best biopics. It was the best biopic I've ever seen. It was one of the best movies I've seen in recent years. Some people may say that's crazy, but the fact that the numbers that it did in the first weekend was absolutely insane. Jafar Jackson, how he played in that movie was one of the best acting jobs I've seen in recent years. I'm not this big movie savant, movie bug guy. So there's guys out there, women out there that can, pull up all these stats and this, that, but the fact that he played his uncle in a biopic, I was watching that movie with my mom. My mom and I went to see it this past weekend, and I was just blown away by how well Jafar Jackson played. He embodied that role. I swear Michael Jackson came down from heaven and went and inserted his soul into Jafar Jackson's body. There were times in that movie when I was watching it and I was like, holy crap, is this Michael Jackson or Jafar? I understand Jafar Jackson had plenty of time or he had quite some time to master the role with with his vocals, with the moves. But there's one thing I'll say: only a Jackson could play another Jackson in a movie as Michael Jackson, as playing as Michael Jackson, and it was insane. The movie goes back all the way to when the beginning of the childhood with Gary Indiana, Joe Jackson, Coleman Domingo, that's his name. Coleman Domingo. I knew it started with, I always botch it. Coleman Domingo, that played Joe Jackson, was exceptional in that movie. I mean, he memorized this voice, everything, the mannerisms. Then you move to Catherine Jackson. Nia Long played Catherine Jackson, Michael Jackson's mother. She was she was amazing. The brothers that played the Jackson brothers were great as well. Miles Teller, who played John Branca, was exceptional. Antoine Fuqua and Graham King did an exceptional job with this movie. I understand there's going to be critics out there that are nitpicking this movie because they left out certain things to this movie. But like I said, before I even saw the movie, I said, why can't we just respect the fact that Jafar Jackson is playing his uncle in a biopic, probably something that we'll never see again. I know they're going to be releasing a second one. They may even release a third one. They may even release a fourth one. I could watch that movie again. If the movie would have continued, I would have watched it. So if you haven't seen it yet, you definitely got to go see it. They said it's to be continued, but just the Motown scene, the bad scene, the when he went solo, when he was working with Quincy Young, yes, there were certain things that were left out of the movie, but just as a whole, the fact that they were even able to do that, I mean, they got it down to a science. They really did. Michael Jackson became the most selling biopic in an opening weekend. Michael Jackson, the Michael movie, was better than Oppenheimer, which is, it's a completely different movie, but it was still a biopic. It was better than It was better than Bohemian Rhapsody. It was better than Elvis. It was better than Rocket Man. And there's all other sorts of movies. I've seen Rocket Man. I've seen Elvis. I've seen Bohemian Rhapsody. If you guys don't know this, Graham King was the producer of Bohemian Rhapsody, and Graham King was the producer of the Michael movie. If you haven't seen the movie, you got to go see it. Jafar Jackson, if he doesn't win an Oscar for that movie, I will be shocked. He probably won't because he's extremely young. Maybe he will. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio didn't win his Oscar until the movie The Revenant. So it's very hard to win an Oscar, but he definitely deserves it, especially playing your uncle. And the side-by-side profiles, or just watching them in the watching him in the movie, I was glued the entire time. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I just was dumbfounded. I was like the Michael Jackson meme, eating the popcorn in the movie more than anything. I'm like, it was so cool to see that movie. And the fact that we got in pop culture entertainment, we got Justin Bieber performed at Coachella last week, who some people say he is the Michael Jackson of our generation, of just like the Prince of pop. Maybe not on the level, but just the feeling of like how successful and how popular Justin Bieber's been and how talented he is, vocally gifted. But then the next week comes out and you get to see the Michael movie. When this movie was brought up, or when they were releasing the news about this, I was like, holy crap, we're getting a Michael Jackson movie. I was freaking out, but I didn't know that it was going to be this good. I saw the clips, I saw the trailer, but Jafar's voice was just like speechless, really. I mean, I could talk about this movie for the entire show. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, but it was just nice to see how good Jafar did in the movie. And of course, they left out some certain things. Some people are saying, well, Diana Ross wasn't in this movie, but there was legal allegations or legal things that they couldn't put in the movie. And there's going to be more addressed in movie 2. And yes, people are always going to nitpick and criticize, or why didn't they put this in, or they left this out, they left that out. It's like, I'm just going to appreciate the movie for what it was. That's exactly how I'll go about it. I'm not going to sit there and nitpick, or they should have put this in there, or when Michael Jackson was in The Wiz, or they left out this scene, or they left out how the solo album was made. They left out more stuff. The allegations, it's like, I'm just going to appreciate the movie for what it was, and the fact that we got to see a Jackson play another Jackson in a movie, and the fact that Jafar Jackson literally looks like him in the movie. I don't care if it was CGI. I don't care if it was I don't care if it was CGI. I don't care if it was pre-planned. He looks just like him in the movie. The voice too, the fact that he was able to memorize and study the voice, and some of the vocals in the movie were Jafar's, and some of them were mixed. So they basically mixed the vocals when he was singing. But listen, guys, I will tell you this: you have to go see the movie. It's well worth it to go see it in IMAX as well. And if you're questioning, oh my God, it's not going to be that good. No, it was that good. You definitely got to go see it. We'll briefly, stick here upon the Michael Jackson stuff. I just love that social media is getting to see Michael Jackson, because I've always been a Michael Jackson fan. And like, I didn't speak this into existence, but I'd always have these conversations with my friends. I'd be like, man, what if Michael Jackson was around in our time? Like, what if Michael Jackson was here with Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber? And the fact what he did in his time when there was no social media and you only had MTV and you'd only see him in newspapers or you'd only see him on TV. Well, now you're seeing him on social media because of this movie. And Michael Jackson's never going anywhere. Nobody compares to Michael Jackson. I don't care if you think Taylor Swift is on that level. I don't care if you think Prince is. I don't care if you think Madonna, Bieber of our generation, nobody. Beyonce. There's a reason why these artists have tried to make beats. There's a reason why these artists have tried to make their music like Michael Jackson. Justin Bieber took a page out of Michael Jackson's book. He tried to with All I Can Take on that album or other songs with The Weeknd as well. Bruno Mars, you name it, all the male artists as well. Women artists, female artists have tried to copy Michael Jackson as well. I'm sure you can go down the list, but there is nobody that'll ever compare to MJ. If you want to relate this to sports, for some people, Michael Jackson for Michael Jordan for the NBA. I think LeBron James is the GOAT. That's my opinion. But some people think Michael Jordan's the GOAT. But you have MJ in sports and you have MJ in pop culture music. I mean, it's absurd. But the fact that at one point Michael Jackson in his day had 4.8 billion fans and there's 7 to 8 billion people on this planet is absurd. And he did this without social media. That's the craziest thing. There will never be another Michael Jackson. And just another thing too, if you thought Michael Jackson was going away or you thought his popularity was dying down, people that did, maybe they thought that Michael Jackson, when he died, rest in peace to the king of pop, $500 million in debt he was from all his legal stuff and all the money that he couldn't pay back from Neverland Ranch. Now at Michael Jackson's day, since he's been passed away for almost this 17th anniversary is coming up here. He is worth the family, is worth $3.5 billion. And a part of that was because he sold a part of his catalog to Sony, $600 million, valuing his assets over at $1.2 billion. Of course, you just had the movie. And since 2009, the estate has earned over $2 billion in revenue. Some people could say he's more popular now that since he's been deceased, but it's just insane. When he was in debt, he was 500 million to now to where he is now. Crazy, guys. Listen, I could talk about Michael Jackson all day. The last part about the show I wanted to mention here briefly, I'll talk about is Devil Wears Prada 2 comes out this Friday. I watched the movie Devil Wears Prada, the first one, a couple years ago, but I really didn't think we were ever going to get a second one. Maybe some people did, but 20 years later in the making, it's going to be good. I'm back on my movie kick. The reason why I was off my movie kick was because I have like movie theater fear phobias, like just because like I always get nervous about like certain movie, like you go into a movie theater, like you're in a closed space and something could happen. Of course, like the Batman shooting, I went to go see Batman a couple years ago and there was, a weird person that walked in the theater and I was nervous because he walked in basically with an all black outfit and a duffel bag. And I walked out of the theater. That's a story for another day. I was nervous, but I'm done facing my fears of the movies. Like I have to go see some of these movies in movie theaters because they're that good. Like I wish I would have saw Superman in theaters. I saw Wicked in theaters, so I did go see that. But there is some movies I'm like I don't really care about seeing. But the Michael Jackson movie that I saw in IMAX was worth it. I'm going to see The Devil Wears Prada 2 because I saw the first one and I liked the first one, so I'm excited to go see it. But I'm back on my movie kick. So that's something that I'm going to be adding to the show, the movies that I think that are worth it to go see. Or if there's a movie that you guys want me to watch, like that has been out or that's been out, like maybe F1 or a certain movie, I'll review it. I'll give you guys my opinion. I'll give you guys my thoughts, but I'm very excited to see The Devil Wears Prada 2. But as always, guys, I greatly appreciate you turning into another episode of the Inquisitive Mamba podcast. We covered the entire first round of the NFL draft, as well as some other picks as well. We covered the Alex Cora firing. We covered the Michael Jackson movie, the effect that the King of Pop has had on the world, the NHL and NBA playoffs. But as always, guys, thank you guys again for the support. Remember to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. We will see you guys next week. And just another thing too, my next episode will be recorded in Miami because I'm moving to Miami this Friday. I'll be moving into my new apartment. So I'll give you guys a little bit of a deeper dive next week when I officially move in. My home studio will be looking a little different. There's nothing on the walls behind me. So I have a move to Miami this Friday. Like I said, guys, it's always Mamba mentality. and we'll see you guys next week.